The primary MLS transfer window is now closed, so teams will have to make do with the squads until the secondary window opens on July 7. ESPN FC takes a look at all 24 clubs' business thus far, but even if your team grades low, a second chance awaits this summer. The exceptional Galaxy. The Galaxy were busy in the transfer window and it has paid off. Winger Uriel Antuna and midfielder Joe Corona have contributed greatly to the Galaxy's improvement, as has Uruguayan centre-back Diego Polenta, who should pair nicely with newly acquired Costa Rican defender Giancarlo Gonzalez. Fabio Alvarez as cover for injured winger Romain Alessandrini is also a smart move. Portland Timbers. Portland may have waited until the final moments of the transfer window to address its need, but it's hit a home run in forward Brian Fernandez. The Argentine was the second leading scorer in Liga MX during the Clausura with 13 goals and will reap the rewards of playmakers Diego Valeri and Sebastian Blanco. Defender Jorge Moreira has also been a good addition on the right. Minnesota United. Unlike the leaky Minnesota teams of 2017 and 2018, this year's group is much improved thanks to the arrivals of goalkeeper Vito Manon, defenders Iko Para and Romain Metanier and defensive midfielder Osvaldo Alonso. Trading out of favor Francisco Calva to Chicago also means the Loons now have some cash to spend in the next window. Not a bad bit of business. At Toronto FC, there were a lot of questions after Sebastian Giovinco left town and things weren't looking so good after the CONCACAF Champions League humiliation against Independiente of Panama. But the good times are back at BMO Field thanks to Alejandro Pozuelo, who has hit the ground running with 4 goals and 5 assists in just 6 games. The Spanish attacker has already formed an instant connection with Jose Altidore. Terence Boyd, on the other hand, has had zero impact. The good C. United. It wasn't a big splash like last summer's Wayne Rooney signing, but Argentine duo Leo Jara and Lucas Rodriguez have been very solid additions and have fit seamlessly into Ben Olsen's starting 11, with Jara on the right and Rodriguez on the left. Picking up Marquinhos Pedroso from FC Dallas last week will also provide depth in defense. Houston Dynamo. In true Dynamo fashion, the Texan side made a number of under-the-radar signings in the form of defenders Maynor Figueroa and Alias Struna, plus midfielder Matias Vieira, and that trio has contributed to Houston's third-place start in the Western Conference. Marlon Hairston and Tommy McNamara also give some needed attacking depth off the bench, even though neither is yet to score this season. But overall, it's hard to argue against the Dynamo's winter pickups. Philadelphia Union. Marco Fabian has battled injuries and suspension, but he's been good for the Union when he's actually been on the field. For a team that has never signed a big name, Fabian's presence is a positive jolt of energy. Defender Kai Wagner and midfielder Jamiro have been good and are part of the Union's ascendancy into top spot in the East. Real Salt Lake, establishing a steady No. 9 has been the story in Salt Lake for years now, and Sam Johnson was brought in as the answer this season, and he is finding form with 3 goals in his past 4 games. Everton Lewis was off to a great start in midfield until his injury. RSL have missed him. Seattle Sounders. Seattle had a pretty quiet window until the very end, when Joe Evan Jones returned to the Emerald City on deadline day. For a while it looked as if Seattle was not going to add any depth in the back, but shortly after the Jones announcement, news trickled in of the Xavier Arriaga signing. The Ecuadorian defender will bolster a team that has an aging defense and an untimely injury to Gustav Svensson. Columbus Crew. Waylon Francis was summoned back to Columbus to replace Milton Valenzuela, who suffered a season-ending injury in February, and the Costa Rican has performed admirably. Robinho has been fine in midfield as well, and forward David Beckham is a nice get after trading away Justin Merrim to Atlanta. Columbus needed attacking help, and it'll hope Beckham can rediscover his 2017 form, when he scored 14 goals. FC Dallas. The youth movement in Dallas means that the Texan side was not that active in the transfer market. Zdenek Ondřiček was brought in to score goals, but he has barely played. Nevertheless, Dallas is coping well enough. However, it would have been a good idea to have brought in another veteran forward as Jesus Ferreira continues to emerge. B. Orlando City FC, 5 goals and 4 assists is a good start for Nani stat-wise, but sometimes he looks like he's slowing down Orlando when it moves forward. Dom Toir's inconsistency should have warranted some striker depth, but Jegson Mendes in midfield and Ruin in defense have been solid additions and have helped keep Orlando in the middle of the table. B. San Jose Earthquakes, new coach Meixas Almeida had many areas to address but wasn't able to spend too much during the window. Taking that into consideration, the Argentine boss did a good job, as forward Christian Espinoza and goalkeeper Daniel Vega have each fit in nicely. But defender Marcos Lopez has fallen out of favor. B. Vancouver Whitecaps, with so many new faces in Vancouver this year, there were going to be some hits and misses. Inviom Hwang and Eric Godoy have settled in nicely, while Freddie Montero is yet to rediscover his MLS scoring form, with just 2 goals. Lucas Venuto and Las Bangora also need to step things up, while John Eris can be a mixed bag in midfield. B. The ho-hum Chicago Fire. The Fire did well to scoop up Nicolas Gaitin, and the Argentine playmaker seems to be settling in. Coach Veljko Paunovic is smartly putting Gaitin in his preferred central role, and the Fire should reap the benefits of that as time goes on. Francisco Calva's performances in Minnesota don't suggest he's the answer at left back. Full-back help is still needed. See New York City FC. After a rocky start, things are coming together for NYCFC, but the jury is still out on new additions Alexandru Mitrita and Hiba. Neither will make fans forget David Villa, and Mitrita has shown flashes, while Hiba is still getting his feet wet. NYCFC boss Dome Torrent needs those two to get firing consistently. Also, has anyone seen Keaton Parks? See New York Red Bulls. $2 million were spent on 18-year-old forward Matthias Jorgensen, so this is obviously a long-term play from the Red Bulls, while another youngster, Omir Fernandez, has shown no fear. But there is still a gap at the forward position, as long-time talisman Bradley Wright Phillips has fallen off in 2019, while Jorgensen and Fernandez aren't quite ready. The Red Bulls needed someone to fill that void. See Sporting Kansas City. Injuries are killing this team, so they could have used more depth pretty much everywhere. The CONCACAF Champions League curse perhaps. The argument could be made that centre-back Botan Barath has been Sporting's best new addition. Eric Hurtado is yet to play, Galen Rowe has been inconsistent and Rodney Wallace has seen little action. At least Benny Feilhaber's return should offer some reprieve. FC Cincinnati. Expansion side FC Cincinnati opted not to splash the cash in year 1, and coach Alan Koch lost his job because of it. Despite signing a slew of centre-backs and defensive midfielders, Cincinnati is still giving up chunks of goals, 16 in all. Fernando Adi was a nice signing up front, but that was about it. The former Portland man is injured and a lack of depth has hurt the Ohio club. LAFC. Thus far, there has not been a lot to write home about regarding LAFC's new arrivals. Salvadoran Rodolfo Zelaya, who was brought in to add some depth at the forward position, still hasn't made his debut, while midfielder Peter Levassel and defender Nico Hamalainen have seen little action. That said, LAFC is still tops in the West because of the squad that coach Bo Bradley had built prior. See Montreal Impact. The big signing for the Impact ahead of the season was Maxi Urruti from Dallas, but the Argentine still hasn't scored. Meanwhile, Omar Brown, who tormented both Toronto FC and Sporting Kansas City in this year's CONCACAF Champions League, was signed from Panama's Independiente and already has a goal. It'll be interesting to see how Brown progresses, but Urruti definitely needs to step things up. CNEW England Revolution. Joan Fernando Caicedo and Carles Gil were brought in to give the Revs some punch up front, and each has 3 goals on the season. Gil, in particular, is impressive and gives New England some needed creativity, but the club is dreadful in the back and not much was done to address a bleeding backline. Atlanta United. So much was expected of Gonzalo "Pity" Martinez, and before it's all said and done, the former River Plate man will likely show his quality, but as of right now he has struggled under Frank de Boer. Also failing to leave much of a mark is new left-back winger Breck Shea, but Justin Merrim is smart coverage for Ezequiel Barco while the Argentine is at the Under-20 World Cup. See the dreadful Colorado Rapids, mercy. Where to start? Colorado acquired a whole slew of proven veteran guys during the winter and it has all gone bad. Kei Kamara, Benny Feilhaber, who's reportedly now returning to Kansas City, Diego Robio, Nicolas Mezquida, none of them has distinguished themselves in Colorado thus far. The deadline day deal for Jonathan Lewis is the only thing preventing Colorado from an F.